Hey, my mother passed away on March 31st of 2023 after a long battle with different elements that she had. And one thing that I wanted to share with you today is we got a chance that many don't get. We also experienced a side of heaven on earth, I guess is the best way to say it, during the week of her passing. And it started on, my mother fell back in October, broke her leg. She wasn't a very old lady. She was 67, but she lifelong diabetic and had other complications and never could get over the battle to ever be healthy again. And so on I believe it was the 23rd of March on a Friday, I got a phone call from my oldest sister. There's four of us kids, and got a phone call from my oldest sister around 5:30 in the morning that they had taken mom to the hospital and she was in a lot of pain. And so, long story short, we go over there. Doctor comes in a few hours later and says, looking at palliative care, just a few weeks to live. Well, deep down, we all knew back in October that this was it. This was the beginning of the end, so to speak. But at the same time, you held on to what little hope and prayers that you had, just selfishly for her to get better and stay here with us. And as I go into this, just know everything I'm telling you is 100% accurate. The reason we wanted to make the video in the first place is to always remember it, but also to share that there is a heaven and that Jesus is real and God's real, and eternal life is real, simply by asking God into your heart. But I want to share with you on that 23rd or 24th, I'm sorry, they admitted her to the hospital, and we was talking about palliative care, and they next morning, on Saturday morning, doctor came in, her regular physician came in, said, her body's shutting down, basically just a matter of days now. And so mom was in and out, really never, she knew who we were and everything, but you could tell she was in a lot of pain. So we had a prayer around her, and they asked us if we wanted to call hospice in. So we decided, of course, whatever, to keep her comfortable. And when we did this, I just went off by myself and I prayed. We had a prayer with mom, us four kids and mama. And then I went off by myself, and I just prayed to God, God, are we making the right decisions? Are we doing, is there anything else that can be done? Lord, just give me a sign, basically like that. And the hospice person showed up, and the girls were doing the paperwork with her. So the hospitalist came in and said, we're going to move you rooms. You're a big family. We'll put you in the hospice room where there's room for everybody to sit, stay, visit. And so we started the journey down the hallway, and the nurses in front of us was pushing her, and I was trailing up the back. And as they rounded the corner, it was a little waiting area in this hospice room that had the microwave and a fridge, and a table. That's about it. And then you went through another door, and that was where the couches and the bed and everything was. So I was standing out where the microwave was, and the nurse hollered out, "Dennis, your mom wants you." And so again, mom had a lot to say. She was screaming in pain when she was awake. So I'm around the corner, and mom's laying there. Of course, she can't sit up since she fell and stuff, real weak. And she's smiling, the biggest, prettiest smile I've ever seen. Mom had had a stroke previously. Her mouth was drawn. She had had some of her teeth busted out when they tried to vent her earlier back in after the fall. And she talked with a I don't know the best way to say it. It's just that she talked different. That's the best way to say it than she always had. But When I around the corner, there was a niece and a nephew that had came down of mom's. Her brother, who had died 2 years prior, his son and daughter came down. And she's like, she opens her eyes. She's like, I can't believe that you're here. You're just going into this. It was almost overboard. As I was like, all right, Mom, calm down. You put on a good enough show. But I text the girls to get back to the room ASAP. And so her niece and nephew had left, so it was just us kids and then my wife. And Mom was just, I can't describe the happiness that she had. And she started talking to us. She knew us five in the hospital room with her. She knew where she was at. But at the same time, she was looking through us, if that makes sense. And to me, it looked like she was looking at the wall and out the windows. There was no TVs on or nothing like that. And again, she's smiling so big, but she's got tears coming out of her eyes. And she starts talking to us and how bright and beautiful this place was. And, at one time she said she was overwhelmed by the beauty of heaven. And there's no doubt in my mind at that time, her spirit, she was in between. Nobody could convince me any otherwise. We're taught to believe in the Bible and believe in God's word. And we put our faith 100% in God's hands. And, and there's probably stuff I'm going to leave out, but I promise you there's nothing I'm going to add to this. But as she's experiencing this, all of a sudden she starts saying, well, there's Papa. And that was her grandfather. She called out the name Granny. We don't know who for sure she called Granny, but she called that name out. She called out her brother Leonard by name. And then she was with Leonard, there was no doubt. She's like, Leonard, there's my mama. There's my mama. My mama's here in heaven. She had always worried about her mother's salvation and where she was at. But to see the tears of joy and to see her reunited with her mother just was unreal. You can say it was the medicines. I'm telling you right now, it's not the medicines. It was God, 100%. We got to see it. And we asked her how her leg was, because that's where she had a blood clot at. And, it's very painful. Anytime she had been awake prior to that, was just screaming in pain. And she said, my leg's great. And, we kind of looked at each other, okay, your leg don't hurt at all? Awful, she said. And I said, oh, your leg hurts awfully bad. She said, no, Dennis. She said, Jesus answered my prayers. My leg, I feel great. I feel like I can finally walk again. Jesus told me he would heal me. And look what he's done. So we're sitting there and she's crying. She starts singing a hymn, What a Day It'll Be. And sings the 2 verses of What a Day. And, we're, of course, you can imagine us, my wife, luckily, for whatever reason, picked up her phone and started recording some tidbits, and that's for us family to have, that end of her life care, but to go back and say, okay, did we really experience this, and luckily she recorded it, and recorded a lot of it. But her singing, What a Day It'll Be, she sung the first 2 verses, and they were perfect. I don't think I'd ever heard Mom sing besides maybe to a radio or at church when we were younger, and she didn't sing that loud, even in my memory. But that day in the hospital room, she was singing at the top of her lungs. And, my sister Treva asked her, she said, why are you crying? She said, I'm just overwhelmed. She said, it's all so beautiful and it's so bright. And she said, she pointed toward the wall and she said, I can't wait to be over there where everybody's smiling. Look how happy everybody is. Look how bright and beautiful this place is. And, and these are the things that I remember. I'm sure that the girls, my sisters, also have a couple of things that they would take from it. She goes on to say, my wife's sister, who passed away 6 years ago. Mom and her were good friends, and mom kind of mother hen her and was an ear to listen to. She tells us then, look at Lee, look at that smile on Lee's face, look how happy she is, and we're experiencing this in real time, and all of this took place in about a course of 2 hours. And again, I'm probably leaving some stuff out just because I don't want to make a video that's 3 hours long of everything. But, again, so she has seen her mama, her daddy, her brother, his wife, her Poppy, I think is how she said it, Papa, as my sister will correct me on that if I'm wrong. She's seen her granny, and she was seeing these people all for the first time. Now, she never gave details of what, and I don't think we ever asked, but she never gave details of what it looked like or anything like that. We never did ask, and one thing I did ask, I was trying to get her to see if she was still mischievous and try to get her to say something about somebody, how she felt about somebody. And normally she'd smart back real quick, but at that particular time, it was the cutest thing. She just kind of zipped her lip and stubbed up, just refused to say anything. And, it kind of put me in my place that, when you're before the feet of Jesus, again, we have the faith, and we'd ask for prayers. We'd ask God to help us with this decision. And, I know the last 2 days of her life, I just prayed God's will, that whatever his will done, because I didn't want to see her suffering. And as we closed out that Saturday, she looked around at all of us, and Megan, my wife, was standing up there along with my 3 sisters, Marla, Treva, and Kim. And she looked up at us, and she said, and again, tears, there was constant tears at this time. But again, it was not tears of mourning and sadness. I mean, it was just, even us as the kids, this is our mother. This is the lady that raised us on her own and raised us 4 kids, and was a proud grandma, a proud great-grandmother. She was proud of this stuff. But and trust me, we miss her something awful, especially with Mother's Day coming up for the first time. But she looked around the room, and this time she made eye contact. And I told one of the girls, I said, I've made more eye contact with my mom this week than I have my whole entire life, just watching her, and vice versa. She'd be looking at me the same way. Of course, I'm the only boy, so probably a little bit of spoiled in there. But she looked around the room that day, and I don't know in her mind if we were as old as what we were, but all she knew is she said, Jesus answered my last prayer. And, I think it was Marla maybe, said, what's that, Mama? And she told me, he said, Jesus said it was my time to go. And I told him I was ready, but that all I really wanted to do one last time was to see my 4 babies. And she said, look where we're at. All 4 of y'all are here. And, again, that was one of the last conversations we had on Saturday. Sunday, she was very disoriented. Monday night, she was disoriented, but she woke up. She knew who we were. She wanted to go see my boys play ball. We got her content by turning on the ball game on the radio, and then the girls started playing hymns and all. It was like more of the kids, the grandkids came in. Kim's kids were there, Marla's kids, and she just wanted to sing hymns. My oldest child that came in from Covington or Cincinnati area on that Monday night. And I cannot tell you how much better and how much spiritual healing we got that last week of her life. And again, I had my mother for 47 years. She was my last phone call every night of my life. She was the person that I didn't have to worry about being a tough guy or anything besides just being her son and her baby. Still at 47, she would baby us, and you could just talk to her about anything. And I think that's one thing that gets overlooked when someone loses a parent, is your mother's that one person who will love you more than themselves, that loves you unconditionally no matter how bad you screw up in life or how bad you do something. Your mother always loves you more than herself. So that Monday night was really the last time she spoke any words. But she was ready, and she had told us that on Saturday. And then it wasn't till the Friday afterwards, on the 31st, that she passed. But I wanted to share this with everyone today. I'd had a couple of people contact me, and I'd shared a testimony on the local radio, and done one at the church last Sunday. And and I think if you had myself and my sisters all here, we would probably add more to it. And them hearing something that I didn't hear. It's just like when she met her mother, though. In real time, all we seen was my mama's here. I was hoping my mama would be here. Well, when you've seen it on the video, she's actually saying, "Look, Leonard, my mama's here. My mama's here." And you can hear just the joy in her voice as she is, again, spiritually, her spirit was in between. There was no doubt, because she said, "I cannot wait to be over there where everybody's smiling and everybody's happy. I can't wait to be over there. I'll be over there." I could not imagine going through any of this without God. I could not imagine, any of this. And, when you listen to this, just know that that's a true real life experience, that we got a little taste and a little showing of heaven as Mom was entering spiritually into eternity. And, we shed tears after that, throughout the funeral. Still to this day, we'll have days that we miss her. But nothing, it's so hard to mourn knowing where she's at right now. And we just got a little taste of it. So I want to share that with each and every one. I hope you will take this testimony, and if you don't know God, if you don't have a relationship with Christ, that you know that, hey, it's real. It's real. It's you have the faith, but when you see it, I've been behind the pulpit before. I've been in rooms with people passing on, and I've never seen anything like this. I'm not saying it's not happened to somebody before, but for our family, how can you mourn knowing that she's spending her eternity where we will be rejoined one day and reunited, all with that happy. We'll all be there where we're happy and smiling. All right. God bless y'all. And we'll try to stop it.